Howdy, folks, and a great big welcome to each and every one of you. Well, it's Monday night, the sun's already gone down. I thought I'd knock off a couple of tunes for you. The first one is kind of a strange one. I can't find any real history on it. It's called Sheeps in the Meadow, and I learned it from the playing of Doc and Merle Watson. They made a recording of it that has been duplicated many times over. But it's not at all like other versions of Sheeps in the Meadow that I've heard. There's one played by Claire Milner and Walt Coken, and they claim to have gotten their version from Gaither Carlton, who was Doc Watson's father-in-law, but the tune that Doc plays has got nothing to do with the one that Milner and Coken learned from Gaither Carlton. And there's another gentleman by the name of Steve Blake that plays Sheeps in the Meadow in an the old Mount Airy style, and his too is totally different. But I learned this from listening to Doc and Merle play it on their guitars. I listened to it 1,000 times until I got it into my head, and then I started translating it to banjo and fiddle. The second tune is Old Joe Clark, which is played by every old-time string band that ever was, and sung all over the place. It's got hundreds of different verses. Apparently, Old Joe Clark was a real person. He fought in the Civil War, and came back, and he bought a store, and he married a lady, and then later on they split up, and he started going through affairs with other ladies, and apparently one of his exes got very jealous, and she inspired her boyfriend to kill Old Joe Clark, which is kind of a grisly story, but the version that I sing has got nothing to do with that. Anyway, hope you enjoy this. house, never been there before. Old Joe slept on a feather bed, and I slept on the floor. Round and round, old Joe Clark, round and round I say. Round and round, old Joe Clark ain't got long to stay. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, fare thee well I say. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, I'm a-going away. Old Joe wasn't at home. I ate up all of old Joe's ham and left old Joe the bone. Raccoon has a bushy tail, possum's tail is bare. Rabbit has no tail at all except a bunch of hair. Round and round, old Joe Clark, round and round I say. Round and round, old Joe Clark ain't got long to stay. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, fare thee well I say. Fare thee well, old Joe Clark, I'm a-going away. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to those tunes. I had a lot of fun playing them. And now comes the time that I'd like to do a little Bible reading. So for those of you folks who don't want to hear a Bible reading and aren't interested in that kind of stuff, now is the time for you to end the video, and I'll say adios, see you next time. But for those of you who are hanging on, I'd like to read from the book of James, which is pretty close to the end of the New Testament. And it's a short little book. James didn't pull any punches. Boy, he just laid it on the line. I think he was talking mostly to rich folks. I don't know, I'm just speculating. But anyway, this is from the book of James, chapter 3, verse 13. Boy, this is getting harder and harder to read. I've been waiting for a year to get my cataracts fixed up, and I'm still waiting and waiting. But I'll see if I can read this. Anyway, verse 13. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show it by his good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, of the devil. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness. And this goes to the kind of motives that people have inside of them when they do something. Outside, it might seem as if they're doing good, but if it's for selfish ambition or to get back at somebody and prove that they're morally superior, then that's not the kind of wisdom that comes from heaven. And well, I like those characteristics of the heavenly wisdom. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the reading and the tunes, and God bless, and we'll see you down the road.